The vision and autonomy paradox involves providing a clear vision and direction to the team while still allowing freedom and independence in how that vision is pursued. Leaders have to provide a direction without dictating the how too much, particularly when it comes to creative people and highly competent people. The less experienced your people are, the more structure that you should provide them. When it comes to creatives and highly competent people, too much control is going to suffocate their creativity, and too much control is going to suffocate their expression of their competence. On the other end, too much freedom could create drift, and it often does with creative people. Now, the goal is not to let go of control. The goal is to calibrate your control and figure out where and when to apply it. And I think this is something that a lot of leadership coaches get wrong. They'll say leadership isn't about control. And I think they're half right. I think effective leadership is about controlling the right things at the right time. What makes it really hard is that it's a moving target. So leaders have to articulate a vision, whether it's their own or their organizations, that aligns with some sort of higher intent, but still leaves room for autonomy. Now, the vision should define clear but wide parameters that are enough to orient towards some sort of definable end state, but not enough to overly restrict those that are in pursuit of it. The restriction and freedom paradox involves offering enough time and resources for your people so that they can pursue their creative work or express their competence while still applying the pressure and structure necessary to maintain focus and performance that you need out of them. Innovation or expression of competence needs a certain degree of freedom, but it also needs the friction provided by structure and constraint in order to keep it oriented and to maintain momentum. And so the research shows that flexible boundaries produce way more creativity than total freedom. So pressure, when structured correctly, creates a ton of energy. And that's why the 3M's 15% rule and Google's 20% time rule work. So it's freedom inside structure. These companies allow their employees a certain degree of company time in order to pursue their own creative endeavors. And we get things like Google email out of it. Pressure isn't the enemy of creativity. When done to the right degree, it's what gives creativity shape. When I was leading my SEAL platoon, I'd often ask the person responsible for a task how long they thought they needed to complete it. And whatever they said, I'd cut that time in half and ask for an update by then. So not necessarily completion, but a touch point. It wasn't me attempting to micromanage them. It was about creating a productive kind of pressure. And then I'd also adjust that a little bit based on my perception of their competence when it comes to completing the task. And the more skilled or experienced the person was, the more freedom I would grant them because I didn't want to stifle their creativity or competence, but I still needed them on some sort of timeline most of the time. But by cutting that estimate in half was usually a good rule of thumb, and it kept momentum high, but it also kept their complacency low. Otherwise, they might wait till the last day to do it, and then they give me a poor product. And that approach gave them ownership of the how, but ensured the when maintained some necessary degree of urgency. And in ill-defined environments, that sort of iteration and touch point iteration beats out perfection. So you can always correct the direction if you have enough touch points, but you can't necessarily correct inertia fast enough to meet a deadline if you wait too long. And that's the paradox in practice. You have to compress time enough to create urgency, but you also have to loosen control to produce the necessary creativity to solve an innovative pursuit or to solve an ill-defined problem.